Well, hello, this is Paul Chek. Welcome back to my video blogs. Today I thought I would share another sutra from the Tao Te Ching. I'm using the translation by Stephen Mitchell, which I quite like. Today I'll share Sutra 62, which is quite interesting. And I'd like to remind all of you that are interested in personal, professional, and spiritual growth and development that I've put together many comprehensive lessons at ppssuccess.com that deal with healing from social programming, past illnesses, injuries, psychological injuries, learning how the mind works, how it's programmed, how to clean your mind of unwanted programming, how to manage yourself, how to create your dreams, set goals, a lot of things, how to learn more effectively. Basically, the 12 lessons I put together are the ones I feel are the most common roadblocks to achieving people's dreams. In those lessons, I do talk a lot about the concepts of the Tao, yin and yang, and how they relate to other concepts and ideas. So for those of you that want more support in translating these very deep ideas into practical examples of ways you can live, I suggest looking at ppssuccess.com. Let's see what Lao Tzu has to say today, Sutra 62. Lao Tzu says, the Tao is the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, the bad man's refuge. Honors can be bought with fine goods, fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. But the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, don't offer to help him with wealth or your expertise. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find. And when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everybody loves it. Now, as usual, there's languaging here that could be confusing from a Western mindset point of view, and you could risk interpreting this through a Western mindset, which for many people is confusing. So let's just work through it briefly. The Tao is the center of the universe. The Tao is unconditional love, and because it has no condition, there's nowhere it is, and there's nowhere it isn't. Love is a non-local phenomenon. There's new piles of scientific research, for example, into prayer and distance healing. And they've shown that distance has no factor on the power of prayer or even the actions of a healer. Because love of all types is an expression of unconditional love, which is everywhere present, yet nowhere tangible as something you can weigh and measure. The Tao is the good man's treasure. Here he's not necessarily using good as in better than you. I would say he's using it as awake. The good man's treasure means the awake man's treasure, because when one is awakened, then they naturally see themselves in nature and in all things and are less likely to do what we would call typically bad or acts that are not life affirmative. The Tao is the bad man's refuge, which is another way of saying that no matter what you're doing it in the Tao, and in life we're all doing life together. So the good man just sees the beauty of it all, and the bad man sees himself or is seen as something other relative to other people, which is a self-oriented, self-judging perspective. Honors can be bought with fine words, respect can be won with good deeds, but the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it. Again, use the words unconditional love in place of Tao. The Tao is beyond all value because a value would be a condition. So the instant you place a value on the Tao, you have created a condition which would be akin to creating an illusion. No one can achieve it. He says the Tao is beyond all value and no one can achieve it. Well, that needs to be explained as well. If you go back to the concept again, Tao equals unconditional love. In order to achieve anything, there has to be relativity in place. To achieve something means to accomplish something that you think you didn't have, or to achieve something that is a measure of improvement on something you've done before, or to achieve something as a means of establishing yourself in a hierarchy. I'm a better athlete, I'm a better teacher, I'm a better lover, I'm a better, more successful businessman. Well, how do you achieve unconditional love? If you could or did achieve unconditional love, you would never be able to say much about it, because in order for you to say or know anything, there has to be a subject-object relationship. I know that I'm sitting on a stone. My knowing, subjective, is referring to something, a stone, objective. That's relativity. No one can achieve the Tao, because to become one with the Tao means there's no more a subject-object relationship, so there cannot be an achievement. There can be an experience, and that is what enlightenment is. It's awakening to the experience of the truth of yourself in and as and like the Tao beyond all things. That's the real goal, by the way. Not to meditate longer than the next guy, or do more challenging yoga asanas and tie yourself in fancier knots, which Kabir said was silly. So did David Bohm and many others. And I'm not talking about the quantum physicists. I'm talking about the Bohm from the 1600s that was developed an entirely radical doctrine of Christianity, which, by the way, is excellent. His first name may not be David, but his last name is Bohm. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find. And when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everybody loves it. Well, here you go. Take Tao out, put unconditional love in. Let's see what happens when we do that. Why did the ancient masters esteem unconditional love? Because being one with unconditional love, when you seek, you find. And when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everybody loves it, i.e. unconditional love. So it makes a lot more sense if you understand that variation of the translation. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because being one with the Tao, you seek, you find. Well, when you're one with unconditional love and you're aware of what it is, you've already found. And anything that you're seeking that you haven't found isn't a question of do I have it, it's just waking up to the awareness of what it is, who's involved in supporting you in the experience, and having a co-creative experience of love as self-expression and as self-expression. We're all expressions of the great self, or the Tao. And when you make a mistake, you're forgiven. Well, I say that's a good philosophy. Unconditional love, capital G, capital O, capital D, cannot possibly judge. And if God judged, it would make for a very unintelligent God, because by definition God means all, the source of all and all that is, and the Tao means the same thing. So to judge would be to judge self, and to punish would be to punish self, which starts to look like self-mutilization and silliness, not, divinity or Tao. That is why everyone loves it, because there is nothing else going on. And if the Tao is the Tao, and unconditional love is unconditional love, and God is God, then perfection is inherent in all appearances and all experiences, regardless of the judgments that we place on them with our very limited perspective. Typically, when we see things we don't like, it's usually because we're seeing things we don't understand, and we often forget that people are expressing their love the best that they know how to, based on their social, cultural conditioning, parental upbringing, circumstances. That's not to make an excuse for people that are acting silly, and we all know it. but it is to remind everybody that someone's acting silly repeatedly is probably somebody that is in great need of connection, direction, love, support, empathy, compassion, guidance. And if we understand what Lao Tzu is saying in any of these sutras, we know that when we see somebody in pain like that, we're seeing a part of ourselves, we're seeing a part of the world. And that doesn't mean you got to drop your groceries and run over and try to fix someone. It just means that by having empathy for that person and opening your heart and sending some love, if that's the safest thing for you to do, is just open your heart and send love and blessings of awakening, whatever is natural to you, then because unconditional love is everywhere, you're immediately connected to that person. And those types of thoughts and emotions are healing thoughts and emotions, and they're gifts of love. They're not gifts of conditioning. So hopefully this little tour through Sutra 62 opens up some new ways of perceiving things in your mind. And I'll close by saying Osho made a point that the Abrahamic religions were typically referred to as religions for children because largely the people following them need to have a daddy in the sky to guide, direct, and punish them if they're not following the dictates. But Taoism, mystical Sufism, mystical Kabbalah, Shinto, Buddhism, those types of religions he called religions for adults because there is no daddy figure in the sky to punish you or rescue you. And those belief systems largely teach you that you are the source of your experience and you are the one making the choices. So I believe it's a real liberating experience to study these teachings and see the commonalities that all the great masters have in their messages, and realize that being told what to do and being encouraged to believe in a punishing, wrathful God really does not add any levity to our life. And oftentimes we get tired of being children and want to be adults and take responsibility for what we create. And my experience is that studying the writings of great teachers really helps us do that. So thanks for joining me today. I'll look forward to sharing with you soon.